Hello, it's Tristan here from ZebraInvest, and today I'm coming to you with the short lease game changers. In the last few years, there's been amazing changes that make short lease flat investing far easier than it ever used to be. Whether that's funding, finance, whether that's legislation, or even the software to be able to help you find and filter to find those deals, has made it a lot easier. Previously, you used to serve something called a Section 42 notice, but you used to have to own the property for at least 2 years before you'd be able to extend that lease. You'd own the property for 2 years, serve a Section 42 notice, and then you would start negotiating the lease extension. But the challenge is if you haven't owned that property for 2 years, it's going to be difficult to get the lease extended. And what people used to do was you'd find a seller and then you'd ask them to serve a Section 42 notice and assign that right to you as the buyer. But if the documents hadn't been signed quite correctly, if the timing wasn't slightly out, then it meant that that wouldn't happen. And that's exactly what happened to me on one of my deals. We got all the notice served, believed everything was all done correctly, but unfortunately the seller's solicitor served the timing incorrectly. But to try and go back through all the legal paperwork to get it sorted was going to be a nightmare. But now that's all changed. Legislation has changed. So on the day that you own a property, you are entitled to be able to apply for a lease extension. You can only try it so many times. So if you're going to serve a Section 42 notice, it needs to be deemed an appropriate amount and the right amount for that lease extension. If it's completely rubbish, they can just throw it out and apply to the first tier tribunal. Anyway, the main bit is you can extend from day one. Even as a property investor, though, I would still ask the seller's solicitors to be able to start the Section 42 notice. So on the day that you buy that property, you don't have to wait 2 months down the line for them to start responding to you. You can be responding from day one and get that lease extension done a lot quicker. The next bit is you can also agree your lease extensions previous to buying the property. So if you can agree the lease extension, say, with the freeholder direct, or you've already kicked off that statutory lease extension, and you can get that lease extension completed before you buy the property. So when you buy the property, the lease has been extended, you could then use an open market value mortgage. So that means they'll lend against what the property is worth and not what you're paying. Simon at Funded Finance is excellent with this. He's done a couple of videos with me recently and can help you out with that. But the whole idea is, say for example, we're looking at buying a property, we agree it for £110,000. It's got a lease extension of, say, £30,000. That means the whole cost there is £140,000, and then our legal costs and everything else are then coming in at, say, another £10,000. All in, we're in for £150,000, but on the day that we buy it, the property is worth £200,000. Well, we could get a lender to lend us against the £200,000 value rather than what we've paid for it. So in effect, they pay for the lease extension on the way in. Most banks are still going to want to see that you've got some skin in the game and that you've paid for the legal fees and you've got everything else sorted on the way in. So there is going to be some cash left behind. But it does mean that you can find short lease properties, extend their leases and add value before you've got it. The only kicker is that the interest rates tend to be quite a bit higher, so it might not necessarily mean that the deal stacks. The other bit is trying to find short lease investment properties takes a bit of time. You're going to have to call around, you're going to have to find people who've got these properties, or you're going to have to be on the hunt for cash buyer only properties. Previously, what I've done is, and you can still do this, is head over to Zoopla, enter your search area, and then you can use their filter system. The filter system on the right here also includes this thing called keywords. So what we do here is put in, say years remaining, which is what an agent tends to write if they say 60 years remaining in their description. You can then turn and say we only want to see flats, so we're not going to see any other type of property. So this way, it's only going to come up with stuff where it has years remaining written into it. So I'll give you a couple of examples here just to show you. It is including a few new builds, but this should help give you a good idea of what you can find and how easily you can find them yourself. So if we opened up this one here, we have got £350,000, and here it says 129 years remaining, so that is a long lease flat. And then here again, we've got another one where it's got 1,000 years remaining. Now here we go, I'll tell you a lie, it's got 91 years left on that lease. So it's a bit hit and miss. And this is where I was saying there's a real change in what's available to you. So in the recent years, PropertyData has been around, and I'm a real advocate for it. I'll include a link below, so if you fancy signing up, having a 14-day free trial and getting 50% off your first month, then please do. It's a great piece of kit for getting it going. And they have short leases in here. So you can just simply head in here, put in a postcode. Let's just put where I used to live. And you can then just simply search around there. It's going to come up with all the properties that it believes that have got a short lease, a low lease, or anything else that matches up with it. So if we turn around and open this, it's a good idea and a good way to be able to help try and find those deals and find those opportunities. So we'll just open those up. There's a really simplistic way of doing it. You can see 22 years left on that lease. This one's going into auction. And you can then look possibly to purchase that and extend it and see what value you could add to it. Again, the same thing here. We've got another one here in Balham. It's saying it's a low lease to cash buyers only. Hasn't given us any details about the actual lease. But this is where I quite like it. It's quite easy to use. It's a great way for working out roughly evaluating a property and getting the details on them. But the absolute game changer, and I'm sure Gillian will be loving me saying this, is Property Filter. Property Filter's got an excellent piece of kit in here for helping you find short lease flats. Not only does it use keywords to be able to find it, it can also get the actual lease lengths of properties, and in doing so, you can then see what property might be worth and how long that lease is before you even got started. So say for example, we look at 47 Bishop's Close here. This property, it seems all above board, 170,000. Nice 2-bedroom first floor flat. But here, just in the property info page, you can also get the lease extension details. It's just here. Lease length is, there you go, 1st of the 6th, 1983. So there's 78 years left. So it's only just become a short lease. But when you look at the comparables for other properties in the area, you can start to see what other properties are worth. So here we've got one just coming up at £200,000, just around the corner. And that's probably quite a nice property. If we have a look, show details. But you can start to see that there's already value in a property without you actually having to do any work. So you can go through, look at comparables, work out how much, there we go, very similar size property, and it's got the windows there as well. But so Property Filter is a fantastic piece of kit for finding more deals and looking around as well. I'll drop a link in the below for that as well. If you fancy signing up, again, I've got a 14-day free trial for you and half price off your first month. But then the next bit is with mortgages, it comes down to it. You can use an open market value mortgage to get going. But there are lenders out there, other lenders who will simply lend on a normal mortgage to you, even if it's got a lease that's less than 80 years on it. The reason being is they'll look at it and say, well, when the time comes to the end of it, at the end of our mortgage, at 25 years time down the line, how many years are still left on that lease? Are there 35 years or more left on that lease? If so, we'll still be happy to lend. They might have a 15-year mortgage and again, 35 years left at the end of it. So it's worth having that question and that conversation with your broker to see who's out there. The other bit you can do as well is, as long as when the purchase goes through, there's enough time to be able to extend and put a decent lease on it, you can also organise, you can agree with the underwriters and the business development managers that when you buy this property, you will be extending the lease after you've bought it. So again, the lender is still happy with that property because they know that it's going to be worth more than what you're paying for it. And the main bit is they've got the saleability. So if they ever did pull the property back from you, that they've got the ability to resell that property on quite easily, and the lease has already been extended in place. So I hope those short lease game changes have been interesting. Hopefully you like this video. If you've got any comments or questions, please drop them in below. In the next video, I'm going to run through how you can use Property Filter. Go ahead out there and find short lease flats, quickly calculate those extensions and work out which ones are going to be game changers for your property portfolio so you can get building it quicker. Hopefully you enjoy it. Bye.